Before we get all the way to that and all our arms up about the inconvenience of the airport, ask yourself how you'll feel after the next terrorist attack and what you think we should do to stop it now. Let's begin with the right wing's ginned-up controversy over those new airline security procedures. MSNBC political analyst Eugene Robinson's a Pulitzer Prize-winning columnist for The Washington Post, and Tim Carney is senior political columnist for The Washington Examiner, which I read every morning first thing, thanks to your great editor, Steve Smith. Let's start with this question, and I go back to you on this, Mr. Carney. I love the name, by the way.
Thank you.
At Carney. And here's the question.
No relation.
The day after, well, that's your problem. The day after we get hit again, and we, in our lifetimes, you're a young guy, you're probably going to see it. What's the big problem? Is it going to be who did it, who let them through the door, or were we too tough on letting people on the planes? What's going to be the question? I just ask you that.
I think you're going to have the government doing what it always does after something like that, coming up with some new government program.
No, what are the American people going to say the second after it happens? What are they going to be looking for? They're going to be looking for a scalp, aren't they, of whose fault it was that somebody got on that plane?
Sure, and if it's like the Richard Reed, the shoe bomber, he got on in Paris. Maybe we'll blame them. If it's like the undie bomber, he got on in Amsterdam.
Fair enough.
Whether you can blame the TSA for somebody getting on a plane, especially when the GAO has said they might not have even detected that underwear bomb. Yeah, even the technology they're rolling out now might not even catch it.
So, you're concerned. What would you do?
What would I do?
What would you do to catch the bad guys before they plant a bomb on a plane? Or before they commit suicide on a plane, or whatever? How do you catch them?
I think we do as much as we can without violating the civil...
You're a critic. Tell me what your answer is.
Okay, you know, Congressman Chaffetz said bomb-sniffing dogs. We do what we can to make
He's against the body screening. Why is he against the body screening?
Because it's wrong for the government to be forcing us to get naked pictures taken of us or to get felt up at the airport in order for us to get on an airplane.
You and I travel all the time. Excuse me. We travel. It's fair enough. I think you've been smart on this, but let's go through it. Every time I get on a plane, I put up with it. I wait in the line. You know, I go through the stupid driver's license, which there's so many phony driver's licenses around anyway. It doesn't make any. I show the driver's license, so I think that part of it's Mickey Mouse. The guy puts a little flashlight on it. He puts me in line. Most of the time, you get it, you worried. Metal detector. Sometimes you have to go through the air blower on you. I've never been felled up or all that stuff for going through that frisking. But what's been your experience?
Well, my experience is basically yours. One time I went through the body scanner line. I don't mind the body scanner.
Anybody complain while you were there?
No, not while
I've never seen anybody complain.
But one time I must have had something in my pocket or something. Anyhow, I got asked to step to the side and got frisked. It was. I didn't actually give it a second thought. I didn't give it another thought.
How often happened to you? Does that happen to you much, Tim?
No.
Does this bother you?
It would bother me if they wanted to send my daughter through the body scanner, or if they wanted to.
Why would that bother you? How old's your daughter? Just to get a sense here.
Well, my daughter's 3.
Would that scare her?
I don't know if it would scare her, but when she's older, if they wanted to send one of my sisters-in-law or my niece, I don't think young people should have to go through. I don't think anybody who doesn't want to have a naked picture taken of them by the U.S. government should have to happen. You know, the U.S. Marshals Service accidentally or supposedly accidentally held on to thousands of these photos.
Let's take a look at some polling data here. A new Washington Post ABC American Broadcasting poll shows that 64% of Americans, about 2/3, support the use of scanners at airports. 32% oppose them. That's about right, I guess. I'm not sure how many of those people are travelers. Let's take a look at this question. Should we look for terrorists instead of weapons like Israel does? And this gets to the serious question. This is the public is split on whether to use manual pat-downs. But let's get to the pat-down question. 48% say people think they're justified, and 50% say they go too far. So on the pat-down, it's used now, as we understand it, it's used as a recourse or as a first recourse. How's it used now?
If you're not willing to go through the nudie scanner, you get the
nudie scanner. Why are you got a nudie scanner? What is this? First of all, when you're at the airport, you don't see anything like what you've just described. You go through you go through the screener, and then what's offensive about that again?
The people should not have to get naked pictures.
Who are getting these naked pictures?
Anybody who goes through one of those scans. I mean, it's amazing to me that you think the government is okay.
Who is looking at the
TSA officials? But in the past, when they've said they weren't holding on to these pictures, they have. Look it up. The U.S. Marshals Service.
Okay, we're looking at what are they doing?
Got a hold of these photos, and now through a Freedom of Information Act, there have been websites that have gotten their hands on these pictures.
Oh, they have.
Now, I mean, why did you object when Bush's NSA was listening in on phone calls? I did. I know you did. I read your column. Collins about him. And Bush's TSA listening to her, NSA listening to her phone calls
look,
is no worse than Obama's TSA.
How do you stop people from going on airplanes and blowing them up?
Well, one thing, there's lots of ways to do it, but I'll say this.
No, practically.
I'm going to reject the premise of your question because, again, the GAO said that this might not have picked up the undie bomber. We know it doesn't pick up stuff that's in your body cavities. We know that, I mean, my brother's got a fake knee, okay? It's a metal knee. How are you going to tell the difference between a metal knee and a guy who puts a bomb in his knee?
Let me ask you this. 9/11, the guys were carrying box cutters. Wouldn't you like to stop people from carrying box cutters in airplanes?
Yeah.
Wouldn't this be one way to do it? Nobody's going to put a box cutter inside them. Is this a reasonable thing?
A metal detector would catch a box cutter on.
So what's wrong with a metal detector?
I've got no problem with a metal detector.
You don't
metal detector isn't taking a naked picture of me.
A naked picture? What is this obsession?
It's going through my clothes.
There's something weird about this. When did you first get on to this?
You say something.
When did you first get obsessed with it? This seems to be a right-wing rant. I don't know anybody on the left or the center that's obsessed with this. It seems to be a right-wing thing being pushed by Drudge and the people on the right. Why are you on the right, who are generally for stop and frisk laws? Generally, the right wing is for. Let's tell me. Generally speaking, the American right is pretty tough on law and order, and if a cop wants to stop a guy and frisk him, you've never had a problem with that on the right, ever. Now you have a problem with people being scanned on airplanes. Why is there a big difference?
Well, if this is leading to Americans, conservatives becoming more skeptical of government power,
I think they're seizing it as an opportunity to put the president under pressure and to attack his administration. Because here, and I think the minute we get hit, they're going to be blaming him for not being tough enough. If somebody gets on a plane with a gun, if somebody gets on a plane with an instrument that can be used to bring a plane
just because
down,
you're being tough in one area doesn't mean you're being broadly tough. He might, just like Bush going after Iraq.
Let's take a look at Huckabee, because everybody seems to be in on this fun show. Here's Mike Huckabee, one of the guys competing on what I call the Western Conference, the Tea Party wing of the Republican Party, calling for the president and the first family to go through an added airport security measure. Let's listen to him enjoying this fun fest.
If he thinks this is an appropriate way for us to deal with security, as he has defended, then I've said, okay, Mr. Obama, take your wife, your 2 daughters, and your mother-in-law to Washington Reagan National Airport and have them publicly go through both the body scanner and the full enhanced pat-down in front of others. And if it's okay for your wife, your daughters, and your mother-in-law, then maybe the rest of us won't feel so bad when our wives, our daughters, and our mothers are being put through this humiliating and degrading, totally unconstitutional intrusion of their privacy.
Let me slow down here for you. The language here and the heating up of this is like Rush Limbaugh with an echo chamber. Drudge is on it, you're on it, the Washington Examiner's on it. Let me tell you, degrading, dehumanizing.
Well, these aren't naked pictures, first of all. And you should go on the internet sometime. There are a lot better naked pictures than that. I mean,
they're skeletons.
These are shadowy outlines that are supposed to give you.
They're not flashing up, by the way, on the big screen either.
This is not a controversy. 64% in our poll, 80% in another poll say, go ahead and use this category if this is the best technology you have. Now, let's ask the question, is this the best technology? It's not the best technology. But we should use the best technology we have in order to keep people from with bombs from getting onto airplanes. That's basic. That's what people want. And so there's actually not an actual controversy here. It's kind of an artificial.
I'll tell you, I don't know what happens going to happen to the airport tomorrow, but I've been going on planes. I mean, I do 200, 300 trips a year, constantly back and forth to New York or somewhere else, constantly. And I never have a problem with this thing. I wait in line. I go through the line. I'm glad they're doing it. I'm glad these guys work hard. They don't get paid a lot of money, and I'm for them. Okay? And I never complain.
The thing is,
do you ever complain?
We asked TSA.
Have you ever refused to go through one of these scanners?
I've had fights with TSA guys because I don't think they have legitimate authority.
You have fights with these guys?
I mean, I try. My wife points out, no, it's the rules half the time. Half the time they're misreading the rules. But I don't think the TSA has legitimate authority to force me to do this before getting.
Let's take a look at Here's another one of your crowd here. Ginger McCall last night at the Electronic Privacy Information Center said the United States was spending billions of dollars on scanners because of what she called a, quote, revolving door of government officials who end up consulting for companies that make the machinery. And she specifically cited former Homeland Security Secretary Michael Chertoff as someone who's had ties to one of those companies. In the interest of fairness, as I said last night, we contacted Chertoff, and his office released the following statement. In 2009, the Chertoff Group did represent Rapiscan Systems. However, we do not represent them now and have not done any advisory work for this client in 2010. Furthermore, the Chertoff Group does not lobby. Any statements to the contrary are false. Chertoff Group played no role in the sale of the whole body imaging technology to TSA. Further, Secretary Michael Chertoff was in no way compensated for his public statements in which he has consistently expressed long-held beliefs on the deployment of effective technologies and techniques that eliminate security vulnerabilities, such as those illustrated last year during the terrorist attempt on Christmas Day. Do you think we should go as far as Israel?
Well, I want to comment on the Chertoff.
No. Well, let's go to Israel. Should we go to Israel and have the kind of interviews they do with people?
Israel's got such a smaller crowd going through their airports. I don't know that we.
No, but we're increasingly facing the same enemy as them. We're increasingly facing the same organized terrorist conspiracy operation to try to find a hole in our security. They go through the whole examination of the person. 40 years ago, I was coming out of Israel, and they asked me, why'd you stay at an Arab hotel? My simple answer was, it was $1 a night. Why do you have a typewriter? Are you a reporter? What are you going to write about? They have very serious efforts to find out who you are. They don't go for technology. They go for the person. Should we be doing that?
I'd like to see us doing more going for the person. I doubt we could pull off what Israel does because we have so many more people.
You know, it's ridiculous. I wrote my column about this in today's paper. I did my internet chat on this, and people were writing in saying, let's go to the Israeli system. That would last 1 hour. If that in this country. There's no way, because
I'll tell you one thing, I must say, when I'm flying to Israel, and I've done it 4 or 5 times, I like being on those planes because I like that security system.
It's fine. You can do that at Ben Gurion Airport. You got one airport, and you got 50 flights a day.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Tim. You've been a good guest. Coming up, you're always a great guest, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to both of you.